It's Flashcards Friday at Math, Science, History. And if you had a chance to listen to Tuesday's podcast about the history of time, this serves as the perfect dessert for the end of the week, Tim Hortons style. Today, we're taking a closer look at the strange and wonderful world of time zones. And what does this have to do with Tim Hortons? Well, stick with me. You will soon find out. But first, a quick word from my advertisers. Before we had time zones, time was a local affair. Noon was simply when sun was at its highest point in your sky. That means every town, sometimes even neighboring towns, could be operating on a slightly different clock, which worked fine until trains, telegraphs, and cross-country business entered the picture. In the 1800s, as railroads began crossing entire countries, chaos ensued. Train companies had to publish different timetables for every station on the line, each reflecting local solar time. Imagine trying to plan a cross-country trip with 50 different clocks. So, in 1884, representatives from 26 nations met in Washington, D.C. at the International Meridian Conference. Their goal? To standardize global time. The solution? Divide the world into 24 time zones, each roughly 15 degrees of longitude apart, and designate one central reference point, Greenwich, England, the home of the Royal Observatory, as the prime meridian, that is 0 degrees longitude. This gave birth to Greenwich Mean Time, or as we refer to it as G.M.T. So how do time zones work exactly? Each time zone represents 15 degrees of longitude because the Earth rotates 360 degrees in 24 hours. Divide 360 by 24 hours and you get 15 degrees per hour, meaning the Earth spins one time zone every 60 minutes. So, if you move east of Greenwich, time moves forward. If you move west of Greenwich, time moves backwards. So let's break it down with a formula that you can visualize. Local time equals GMT plus the number of time zones times 1 hour. So if you live in Los Angeles, like I do, which is GMT 8, and it is 6 p.m. your time, add 8 hours to get GMT. So that would be 6 p.m. plus 8 hours is 2 a.m. GMT. Now let's flip it. If you know it's 3 p.m. GMT and you want to know what time it is in Mumbai, add 5 hours and 30 minutes. So that's 3 p.m. plus 5 hours and 30 minutes, which is 8:30 p.m. Mumbai time. You might think there are only 24 hours in a day, but here is a twist. The world actually has more than 24 time zones. When the world standardized time in the 19th century, the globe was divided into 24 slices, one for every hour of Earth's rotation. It sounds simple, right? But humans are not so simple. Borders, politics, and practicality turned that neat little system into something much messier. Today, there are more than 38 time zones when you count the half-hour and quarter-hour offsets. That means while most countries follow neat 1-hour steps from Greenwich Mean Time, or UTC, its modern version, others split the difference. So let's meet the 30-minute and 45-minute rebels. Who bends the rules? Well, India sits proudly at UTC plus 5 hours and 30 minutes. That half hour keeps New Delhi in sync with the rest of the country while avoiding a split between East and West. Nepal goes a little further, landing at UTC plus 5 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah, a 45-minute increment. It's the only country in the world to use one. Australia has multiple half-hour zones, like South Australia at UTC plus 9 hours and 30 minutes. Then Newfoundland in Canada is another example, running on UTC minus 3 hours and 30 minutes. So why do this? Well, it's all about local convenience and national identity. Time is political as much as it is astronomical. And if half-hour zones weren't confusing enough, let's add the international date line. This international date line runs down the Pacific Ocean opposite Greenwich, but it zigzags wildly to keep island nations on the same calendar day as their neighbors. And this is where things get strange. On one side of the line, it might be Monday morning. Just a few miles away across the line, it's still Sunday morning. That split creates extra time zones beyond the basic 24 hours. To the west of the line, you find UTC plus 12 hours. To the east of the line, you find UTC minus 12 hours. And here's the kicker. Pacific nations like Kiribati decided they didn't want their islands split across different days. So they created a UTC plus 14-hour zone, which means they are the very first to welcome the new year. In fact, back in 2011, Samoa jumped from UTC minus 11 hours to UTC plus 13 hours overnight, literally skipping an entire Friday just to better align with business partners in Australia and New Zealand. So imagine going to bed Thursday night and waking up Saturday morning. Friday completely vanished from the calendar, which means no flashcard Fridays for them. Their loss. So thanks to Dateline's creative zigzagging, we end up with 3 more zones: UTC minus 12 hours, UTC plus 13 hours, and UTC plus 14 hours. So if every zone followed only whole hours, the math would be clean. But geography doesn't care about neat lines, and humans care about daylight. By tweaking time with half-hour or quarter-hour offsets, governments keep sunrise, sunset, and business hours practical. That's why we say there are more than 24 hours in a day. It's not that the Earth spins slower, it's that our clocks are adjusted for human life. Now, let's push timekeeping to the extreme. Let's say you have a meeting with Santa at the North Pole. You could tell Santa that the meeting will be at 3 p.m., but he shows up at 5 p.m. and he says he's on time. Guess what? He's right. Why is that? Well, in the North Pole, time zones completely disappear. That's because all lines of longitude converge there, which means technically every time zone passes through the pole. In practice, there's no official time zone at all. Researchers and explorers simply pick one, often UTC, or the time zone of their home base. So if you plan a meeting at the pole, coordination depends on agreement, not geography. Okay, so maybe the North Pole is too extreme. Maybe you do have a meeting close to the North Pole. Where are you going to eat? Well, just 8 degrees south of the North Pole in Iqaluit, Nunavut, Canada, there is a Tim Hortons. Yes, this is the northernmost Tim Hortons in the world, which in my opinion would be worth going to. Iqaluit, Nunavut, Canada. And this is not a paid advertisement, but Tim Hortons has the world's best coffee. So if you do have a meeting near the North Pole, you can do it over a double-double and some Tinbits and their delicious, amazing, incredible coffee. Oh, hey, speaking of coffee, come on by mathsciencehistory.com and click on that coffee button and make a donation to Math Science History, because every donation that you make keeps this educational podcast and blog up and running. So here are our flashcards for the weekend. 1. The world agreed on 24 time zones in 1884, but today there are more than 38. 2. Some countries use half-hour or even 45-minute offsets to fit their lives better. 3. At the North Pole, time zones vanish. You get to choose one. And if you're in Iqaluit, Nunavut, Canada, every hour is coffee hour at Tim Hortons. 4. Tim Hortons has the best coffee ever. Before I wrap up today's episode, I have something very exciting to share. After 6 incredible years of math science history, my team and I are taking a well-deserved 1-week break before we start season 7. So get out your dance pants, because we're going to have Dance Pants Friday every day next week. What, you ask? What's that about? Well, I'm going to tell you, we've got a special Spotify playlist for you filled with some of our favorite music to celebrate math, science, history, and keep you at the nerd party while we are recharging. It is a public playlist, and if you have a favorite nerd song, please add it to the playlist. Let's keep it going all season long. I can't wait to hear what you add to it. You will find the link in our show notes, and I'll be mentioning it again and again because I want to see what you guys are adding. And in 1 week, we will be back launching with season 7, and we are so excited to share it with you. Until next time, carpe diem, carpe hebdomadam, et celebramus. Seize the day, seize the week, and party on. So thank you for listening to the podcast for 6 wonderful years. And thank you to my amazing growing team. David Avila is my sound editor, Warren Berkman, my social media manager, and my number 1, Veronica Helmke, and my amazing and patient husband, Joe, who is so patient with me every time I say, hold on, I just got to take care of this one more thing for the podcast. Thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart for being part of this wonderful mathematical, scientific, and historical journey. We'll see you in a week.